Welcome to a Saturday recording of Thoughtify, a podcast about anything and everything, with your host, Keegan Glick, and yours truly. I don't know.
Chase Hennings. Oh, that was Chase Hennings. You said my name. I forgot who else was here, and I was just like, we did not plan for that. But
we are playing opposite day to where I'm him and he's me. I'm that guy. Don't be that guy.
Okay? You're not that guy. You're not that
guy. But we are today.
I can't slurp my coffee like that. People hate that.
I love it. Do it again.
Please.
Do it again.
When in doubt, shout it out.
When in doubt, don't be yourself and be someone you're not.
But happy Saturday. Jeez, man.
Yes.
I honestly, if Saturday was more of not a day where I felt a massive anxiety to get as much done as I could and enjoy as much time off of work that I possibly can, I would love to do the podcast every Saturday. Like if I could wake up every Saturday just like this, wake up, go for a run, take a shower, make some coffee. But there's Saturdays where we got stuff going on. We're pretty well-known people here in the DFW area, so we got a lot of people vibing for our time. And we can't just wake up every Saturday and do the podcast. But it is crazy because I just feel the energy is better. Like I'm in a better mood this morning.
Well, too, it's like compared to when we normally do it on Wednesday nights. It's a full day of work, working out after, coming back, and we're recording by 8 o'clock that night. And we're just like, not like we're running on fumes, but if fumes were to exist that one would run on, we're pretty dang close to it.
Yeah. I mean, it is definitely the home stretch of every Wednesday. And it's crazy because we get on and then all of a sudden we have so much more of a energy boost because we want to, draw people in at least a little bit with, we
want to perform for you guys.
We're not being ourselves at all.
Yeah.
Behind the scenes, we're very depressed. We're literally we're like crying getting onto the podcast. Like,
do we have to do it again?
Welcome to Thoughtify, a podcast about anything and everything.
We're so excited to be here and record another episode. Plus, I will say, Keegan's having a cough attack. Are you okay, Jimmy?
I know the way that I'm going to leave this world. The way I'm going to leave this world is I'm going to be in my elderly age, and
you're already there.
I will take a drink of whatever drink it might be, coffee, water, Coca-Cola, shout out, sponsored by Coke yesterday. And
we wish, but we're not.
We're not sponsored by Coca-Cola. But it will go down the wrong pipe, as they say, and I will go into a coughing fit and die because I won't be able to get enough oxygen in my body, won't be able to compensate for the lack of oxygen. So that's the way I'm most likely going out.
Not many people can. Fun fact.
What?
Can compensate for the lack of oxygen. It's kind of important.
Well, time out. So what I'm saying is when I'm coughing, it's hard to take a big breath because you're coughing so hard. I think at 80 years old, that's probably going to kill me. Whereas right now I can make it through.
You can take it. Yeah.
Yeah. But you get done coughing and your eyes are so red and they're all teary and puffed up and stuff. And then, what'd you just do outside?
Nothing.
Were you doing coughing again? No.
It was wild. You should try it sometime. It's free.
My parents told me about people like you.
Yes. And I will say too, Saturday would be awesome to record. Yep. But at times, there's a good amount of time that we more often than not hop on the good old trusty video games after some coffee because we're just like, it's video game time.
I'm a 30-year-old child.
Yes.
I'm a 31-year-old child.
Almost 32.
And I don't
Half a year.
Man, that's scary. Pretty much 31's already done. Because once the summer happens, July comes so quickly.
It really does.
And man, today's going to be nice. And the good old F-dub over here coming to you from Fort Worth. But man, there's something about, and I always said this as a kid, growing up in Louisiana, when you can walk out on a balcony at night in your boxers and it be 80 degrees and you can just pee right off the balcony. That's just, that is, That is peak summertime. Even though the next day it is, and this is given we're at a lake. We have to imagine that we're at a lake. I'm not pissing off, or peeing. Sorry for the naughty language, but I'm not peeing off of just any random balcony. I'm not a
He does it all the time. I've
savage.
seen him many, many times. He's just like balcony.
Some say Chase watches, but
I help.
I hold it.
Just kidding. We're keeping this PG.
Keeping it PG.
Yeah.
But yeah, being really nice in the summer and you can just walk out. It's just nice.
Yep.
We can keep going down that road. Let's talk about it more.
Except I will say during summertime in Texas, though, very rarely does it get to 80 degrees at night. It's still in the mid 90s. It's still pretty freaking toasty.
Yeah. That was Louisiana, even though Louisiana just gets just as hot. And I'd say Louisiana is even a little more muggy than Texas.
Yeah, for sure.
And I enjoyed parts of Louisiana, but I
heard Ruston was your favorite.
If you guys have ever been to Ruston, Louisiana, and I am not sorry if I offend anyone from Ruston, that's like a forgotten place of the U.S. that no one really cares about. I'm kidding. Well, it's just Ruston is where Louisiana Tech is, and it's a very small town, and the only thing there is the college, and it's just, I've always said, if you could spend 4 whole years in Ruston and be okay with everything, we're just different people.
Yeah.
I just need more visual stimulation than that. I have to have it. Like I really love living in a city that is also close to the country.
And that's Fort Worth, without a doubt.
Fort Worth, definitely. If you start driving from Dallas to Fort Worth, eventually you're going to get to Fort Worth.
Is that how that works?
Point, I think. But
when they said head west, that's what that means.
It's east. It's east from Dallas.
Makes total sense.
That's how I trick people to go into Shreveport, and then they take a job and buy a cheap house there and get trapped. Shreveport is where I grew up.
I'm just running some errands. I'll be home shortly. I promise.
Shreveport is the epitome of have you ever gotten a hotel and the pictures were so misleading, or an Airbnb and the pictures were so professionally done that you get there and it's like a completely different place? That's what happens to people.
We've been
100%. But in terms of when you go to, people move to Shreveport, they'll move their whole family to Shreveport, and the house is very affordable. They've got decent school systems, and on pictures, it looks great. It looks like a cool town. It's not horrible. You can enjoy yourself for, maybe a year if you like casinos. I'm not a big casino guy. Maybe a day. And after that, you're stuck. You're working the job. You're paying a mortgage on a house. You're in a neighborhood that you thought looked really nice but has a lot of crime. And you are just living a different life than you thought you would. Now, listen, anyone can disagree with me. If you're from Shreveport, I disagree with you. I lived there for over 20 years, and there was nothing better in my life than getting out. But get off my soapbox and
one more thing on that soapbox. One more thing on that soapbox. Was it you who was telling me, however long ago it was, that when Shreveport was trying to develop their town slogan or their city slogan, that they put a poll out for people to comment in to take recommendations, and all the suggestions, or at least most of them, were like Shreveport, the part that got screwed out of being part of Texas?
I don't know if that actually happened.
Was that real?
I always tell people, this is my running joke that I've always made, that whenever we didn't have erasable pencils, they were drawing the U.S. map with a feather and ink, and the guy who was drawing it probably accidentally sneezed. He's like, and then Shreveport was in Louisiana. He was like, crap, that was supposed to be in Texas, but I can't erase this now. So that's how Shreveport ended up being part of Louisiana and not Texas. Because the worst, among the many things that I don't love about Shreveport, is it's the least Louisiana. Like if you go down to Baton Rouge and New Orleans, Metairie, those towns, those are very Southern French, Creole, like all the culture, all the food that you hear about is extremely prominent down there. Awesome. And even then, I would argue not wanting to live in New Orleans or Baton Rouge. But Northwest Louisiana is like the last drip of whatever the drip is coming out of. There's just the food has made it up there, and it's pretty much just further east Texas.
Yeah. Pretty
You're
much.
not really getting like the Louisiana culture out of it. So I don't know, probably a boring topic for most, but
You guys should go visit Shreveport. It's
passionate about
exciting.
it.
It's the new up and coming town. You should just go. And then
You
let
should
us
go.
know. Comment. Let us know what you think.
Comment, say something on the podcast.
Yep.
But as we always ask, man, how's the week been?
The week was good. Kind of a boring answer, but it was pretty status quo. Nothing crazy happened. Got some good news at work. Some of the jobs that we have bid on, one of which we won, and then we're getting ready to kick one off in March sometime. So we're going to have basically the lull time we're experiencing right now. That will change here in about a month and a half.
Yeah.
Once it gets to mid-March, late March time frame. So going to
It's
be
gonna
all
get
hands
crazy.
on deck. So kind of enjoying some low key right now. And then we're going to get hit with a ton of bricks here in about a month and a half. It's going to be awesome.
Gonna be a good time. Gonna be a good
great
time.
Real good time. What about you?
Gosh, our lives are boring.
Legitimately. We play For Honor. That's fun.
If you guys have ever played For Honor it's cross-platform, so get excited about that. Great game. We need more teammates. Please come play with us.
Enter into a raffle to play with us for a few games one night.
Yeah, it's going to be exhilarating.
The hosts.
No,
of
No, this week was good. It was, not to copy you, but very mundane detail. I was finally able to get back into running. And man, one of the things I love about running is the moment you start doing it becomes 90% of your personality. And all you want to do is tell other people that you ran, just so you can get it from them that they didn't run, and then you can tell them how good running makes you feel.
That's why people join
literally
running
all
clubs.
of running. Exactly.
Yeah.
Dude, I ran by a running club this morning and I was smoking them.
Be like, you're not good enough for me.
I was like, your running club is nothing. You're a club of slow people is what you are. You're a club of slow runners. I didn't say that to them, but I did divert so I didn't have to run next to them, so I could have my own credit. I didn't want to share that with them. I was like, I love running in downtown Fort Worth. Downtown Fort Worth is gorgeous.
It is
cobblestone street, not cobblestone, but red brick streets right in the middle. And then they've got Sundance Square. Yep. Man, it is just one of the nicest downtowns ever. And it's so clean. And it has something that Dallas doesn't have. Police everywhere.
What's that like?
Like literally there's like, and I go running sometimes really early. Sometimes either way, I force myself to go. And no matter what, when you run through Sundance Square, there's a police officer standing in Sundance Square with a gun on their hip. And I'm just like, I think of like Assassin's Creed. Yes, I gotcha, and I run away with it. I think of like Assassin's Creed. Like whenever you play Assassin's Creed and you went on really hard missions, they were always really hard because there was a bunch of guards around the target you were trying to assassin, and you had to find a way around these guards. It's the same concept. You have a heavy presence, there's going to be a low population of other stuff.
I thought we were supposed to defund the police, though.
I did, and it went horrible.
He was that guy.
What if you could specifically elect to defund the police and they could see it? So like you call them, they're like, hold on, checking. Oh, you actually defunded us, so
you need
we
help.
Will be
now?
there in 6 hours.
Oh my gosh, that would
be awesome.
That'd be hilarious. You're like, you voted to remove the budget. What makes you think we have the capacity?
We do have someone in that area. They are available right now, but we're probably going to spend our money in better places because you helped cut the budget.
Yeah. We won't go down the road of politics. Not today.
It's
Not
not
today.
politics.
Yeah,
Uh, uh,
it does
who
get
wants to
weaved into
talk
it
about it?
heavily.
Siri keeps thinking I'm talking to him. And yeah, I made Siri a
male.
gay man.
All right, moving on. Gosh,
I did. I made him I think a South African or British, but dude, I'm
that's
not
pretty
gonna
cool.
lie. I can't get used to it. I'd always expect to hear Siri's voice when I say Siri. And
Yeah.
it just doesn't sound like it's not giving me what I wanted, like having that what was Iron Man's
Jarvis.
sidekick's name? Jarvis. It's like it's not like having Jarvis. It's just like not Siri. I'm having breakup remorse.
That's something Apple should really, really introduce. Like, I get it. There's probably a lot of, not probably, there is a lot of proprietary copyright stuff that they'd have to jump through some hoops on, but they should give us the ability to pick any prominent fictional character from a movie. Like, you could have Master Chief as the voice of Siri, or Batman, or, Jarvis, or whoever it is. Just to add that level of customization and personalization, that would be so dang cool. I wonder if
Do
they'll
you
ever do
remember
that.
jailbreaking iPhones?
Yeah.
Man,
Yeah.
back in the day, dude. Like I had a buddy that anything nefarious, he was a part of it. If it was selling illegal substances, if it was whatever it was, he had some type of hand in it. So, like, of course, when jailbreaking iPhones came out, I looked at his iPhone. It had like one of those super 3D backgrounds where like everything looks like it's into the phone. And then, like, his slide bar was a polo horse from the brand. And it was just all this stuff. And it's like, I'm pretty sure their phone worked for like 20 minutes after that and then just started glitching out.
Yeah.
It looked really cool.
It was cool for 20 minutes.
It's crazy though how you can go into the back end of something and um essentially reprogram every single thing about it. Like software is a very malleable thing.
You know what's going to be cool on that note? Like, before we started recording, having those audio issues, that once AI gets to the point of being like a legitimate personal aid, that if you could tell your computer, like, hey, fix this audio issue that
I
I'm
want it to
having.
be Jarvis. I want it to be
Yeah.
Jarvis. I just want to be able to talk to it as needed, not have to wait. Like I just want it to I want it to be able to do one thing. I'm really confused as to why they're not pursuing more, maybe they are, is like why can't it do complex tasks on your phone yet? Why
Right.
can't you say, hey, go open this app and then well, I can assume that, because there's probably proprietary issues in terms of like going into someone else's developed app and telling it what to do. But just like you have to give up so much to be on the Apple Store. Like it's a
Right.
pretty big racket. Like
Yep.
you pretty much give them all your data already. I don't not see them eventually being like we also get to control the app with AI whenever we want.
Well, I mean, it is starting to be part of it with what is it? What are we on? iOS 18 now?
Not even that great. I have it.
But they're working towards AI being multifaceted to where they're trying to interweave at least the proprietary apps that Apple has. That Siri is going to be able to go in to build the bridge between apps, like have cross pollination. So if someone texts you, hey, I'm landing at the airport at 7:30 tonight. You tell Siri, or basically, here's my flight information, blah blah blah. You tell Siri, hey, plan, what time do I need to leave for the airport to go pick up Keegan? And it's going to cross reference from the information that was sent via text to relay to Apple Maps, all this stuff. And I know that's rudimentary for the most part, but we're starting to get to the point to where it's going to be more cross pollinized.
What I'm looking for is, hey Siri, check my flight information and have an Uber ready for me whenever I land. Siri is literally responding to this right now. I got to stop doing that.
I'd be curious if you could theoretically try that.
Hey Siri, can you order me an Uber? It just went to the app, but it won't. I've done this before. It will go to the app, but it won't like. I can't say
Do the
like
rest
the
of it.
address. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it can open apps already. I think the functionality is there, but
We're
it's just
we're in the first stages of that happening.
yeah. So here I got a question for you. Where'd it go?
The answer is 372,136.74.
Would you take $10 million, but every time you sneeze, you teleport to a random location?
That'd be kind of
crazy.
dope. That'd be kind of cool.
Right?
Is it like forever?
But just some. It doesn't. Imagine sneezing while driving. Ooh, that's a crazy one.
No. That
Oh, crap.
Yeah. Dang it. Self-driving cars though, loophole. It wouldn't
Right?
matter.
Ooh. We've already got it. I don't know, man. That would be. I feel like $10 million would not be able to suffice some of the stuff that would eventually get you into.
True.
Like, I sneeze in my sleep sometimes.
You'd sneeze and wake up in Antarctica. What am I doing here? Crap.
And I wonder if
happened
you would
again.
be able to get back to wherever you were.
You just gotta wait for that next sneeze.
Just
and I hope you
sneezing
go
like
back home.
4,000 times in a row, and you're just like, crap, India again.
Dang it. Zimbabwe.
Or just like, what if you just, bro, you remember the movie Jumper?
I don't know if I saw the full movie. I saw bits and pieces, but I know what generally you're talking about.
Was it Jumper? I don't think it was Jumper.
Yeah, it was.
Was
where
it?
they could teleport.
Yeah.
Like they could look at a picture or visualize where they wanted to go and just teleport right
That
to
was
it.
such, I mean, I'm sure if we, this goes very along with don't meet your heroes. Don't go back and watch movies you used to love because like stuff has
Yeah.
advanced so much that it just doesn't look very good anymore, and it'll just ruin the memory of the movie for you. But when that movie came out, that was such a sick movie. Like, I don't know if it was original or what, but I mean, we don't have
Had
many
to have
original
been.
movies these days.
Yeah, we don't. That's one of the downfalls of movies today.
Capitalism.
No one thinks, yeah, I mean, partially freaking didn't. I don't want to get into that discussion again, what Disney's doing with all their recyclable
I'm bringing up
crap.
politics one way or another.
It's going to happen.
Wait,
But
what? About Disney and
know
Star
what
Wars?
Disney's doing like with recycled movies. Like, where's some original brand new movies? Instead, they're just either continuing making sequel after sequel after sequel, i.e. Star Wars, because it makes them buku money, or they're going in to just recycle movies from years ago, i.e. How to Train Your Dragon. That came out, what, 10, 15 years ago as an animated movie, and now they're making a live action. Like, how about do something new? You're making the same exact movie live action. So we know what's going to happen. It's not going to be like, oh my gosh, that happened. Like,
And
do
dude,
something new.
I've seen a preview of the live action of How to Train Your Dragon.
It's the exact same thing.
Scene for scene, word for word. Literally, all it is adding a different texture to the stuff on screen. The dragon looks the exact same. And it's one of those things where it's like, one of the cool things about a live action movie is it resembles the cartoon version, but it has more grotesque definition. So, like, if it's a dragon, it actually looks kind of like a scary dragon, but resembles the cartoon. Cartoons always soften up features and they make it more applicable for kids. Coming out with a live version would be way cooler if you made the dragon actually look kind of a little bit like a scary dragon, you know, and made their interplay, you know, not like him like cooing like a, you know,
cat.
What animals coo? Do cats coo? They purr.
They purr.
I know pigeons coo.
I don't know. Whatever
They literally
else
make them.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, he's just acting like a little puppy. It's just like, and if you have like a laser beam coming out of his mouth, like in the movie, because he doesn't have like fire, he has like the blue. Is it blue fire?
Oh, it's like, is it blue fire? I don't know. I have no idea.
Here's something that I have to say out loud if I'm gonna be saying this. I've never seen the movie, so I have a lot of opinions about stuff that I haven't, you know, fully developed my opinion about yet. But from the scene that I saw and all the people who have seen the movie that were commenting on it, they agree with me.
They've told him.
That's that. I need to stop commenting on Instagram.
Makes for some funny arguments.
Oh man. I can't even say some of the stuff that I comment. Oh man, it's just it's all sorts of topics.
Yeah.
But
Keyboard warrior stuff.
KM, no, not keyboard warrior. I just
I'm
love
joking.
leaving
I'm
zingers.
joking.
I do.
Keegan's a
I
huge
have.
keyboard warrior. He fights for just cause behind a screen.
I'm a fifth prestige
Oh
keyboard
my
warrior.
gosh.
There's
They
only
do
6
exist
of them
in the whole world. He has a little medallion he wears every day to let people know.
There's a ceremony that we have where we have our war medals.
Dude, speaking of
Social
ceremonies,
justice.
I was also scrolling through Instagram. This was however long ago. But people that legitimately have their own like Jedi temple ceremonies where they have like a little group or clan of Jedi and everyone has their like fake lightsaber because they don't have real ones yet, contrary to popular belief. But I was seeing like these people were in a park next to some lake. I don't know if you've seen the same one, but basically they're all standing in formation with their swords pointed like a canopy. And their new initiate has to walk down the middle of the formation to be dubbed and welcomed into their Jedi Council club. I was like, I want to be part of that. That's kind of cool.
My opinion about that type of stuff is like, I would be more of a fan of taking the Jedi mindset and applying that to different areas of life and then taking up some form of like learning how to master a sword or something like that versus legitimately pretending I'm a Jedi. I think
I'm a Jedi.
Because here's the thing. The one thing that kills it for me is the plastic sword. If they could make something that even slightly resembles a Jedi lightsaber, I would go dress up as a Jedi every day.
Oh, 100%.
But like the plastic sword is just one of those things where you're just like, man, there's no more sobering reminder that this is not real and you will never be a Jedi.
Yep, 100%.
Like if they could make like, and there has been a guy who made a prototype lightsaber, but it's
the amount of energy required.
Oh yeah, the amount of energy required. He essentially has to wear like a big backpack to keep it powered, and the thing doesn't operate as a regular lightsaber. It's a plasma. I don't know. I'm not.
It's a plasma cutter.
Yeah,
that's basically all it is.
It's a stream of plasma that comes out, and he has it kind of formed into the shape of a lightsaber, and he can cut through steel, but he can't like cut through steel. He has to like slowly go through it, but it's like 4,000 degrees. It's ridiculous.
Yeah,
but and then in terms of making an actual lightsaber, they would say that the amount of energy you would need to control the beam of energy like that would be
insane.
Or to not just control, to keep it in some type of structure would be an insane amount of energy. So kyber crystals,
they're real. You'd have to literally have a collapsible housing for that plasma to go in, because just plasma straight up or whatever source of energy, like, I don't know, unless you could have it via magnetism somehow and be able to harness plasma or some sort of energy into a defined shape, it's probably impossible.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
That's what we've seen when we've looked it up, at least.
Yeah.
Maybe they've made some progress on it. Let's see.
I hope. Gosh, that would be so cool. Imagine, though, just civilians being able to go buy a freaking lightsaber. If you think, never mind.
Dude, here's a funny thing we can talk about in a second, but I asked ChatGPT, how close are we to a real lightsaber? Recent developments, plasma-based prototypes. Innovators have developed prototypes that utilize high-temperature plasma, like we said, to emulate the blade of a lightsaber. For instance, team at Hacksmith Industries has been working on a portable, retractable plasma-based lightsabers capable of cutting through steel. However, these prototypes often require external fuel sources, and are not yet practical for everyday use, as if there is any practicality for a lightsaber every day.
Hey, I'd find one if I could have one.
Challenges, power requirements, containment and safety, containing plasma safely, and ensuring user safety present significant engineering hurdles. Expert insights.
It'd almost be like for some sort of fuel source, you would need a super mini version of a nuclear reactor inside of a
Yeah.
super protected hilt.
That is what they use on Warhammer for the suits of armor.
That's
There's
true.
a small nuclear reactor inside their suits of
Pretty
armor that
dope.
can last for centuries after they die.
It's pretty sick.
Yep.
I have a dude on a really random note. So there's a podcast on Spotify. All you guys should definitely go check it out. There's a couple thousand episodes. Sasquatch Chronicles. I
How did I
love
know you were going to bring that up? We didn't even talk about bringing that up.
Quantum mechanics. We were on
Yeah.
the same wavelength.
Mhm.
But my gosh, after I don't know how many episodes I've listened to, a lot, but the consistent details that people put forth based on behavior, physical descriptions of whatever they saw, how synonymous they are from all across the United States, let alone parts of the world. I'm just like, man, what if there is something out there? You know, if it is a step up above the animalistic side of, the animal kingdom, smarter than whatever animal you want to freaking list out there, but like something that is way few in number, not a giant population that has the ability to not be seen if it doesn't want to, that can kind of pseudo think, not in a full rational way, but kind of understand what it needs to do to remain hidden. Like way up in the Pacific Northwest, there's hundreds of thousands of acres of non or uninhabited land that is dense forest. So like, I'm like, what if, what if something wants to remain unseen or hidden and then have instances of people seeing them as they're hiking or whatever, why couldn't that be within the realm of possibility?
Well, my perspective on this, and this is when I say this out loud, people are initially going to go, "That's dumb." But I promise you, if you look into it and really break it down, a lot of things start to fit.
Are
So,
you about to say what I think you're going to say?
yeah, they're interdimensional
Yeah.
in terms
Yeah.
of I think there's multiple dimensions, and I think it doesn't surprise me that if there are things that can be accessed, there's things that can manipulate that access that are outside of our understanding. And in their own understanding, they could be just as normal as us. And there could be something special about this dimension or different in other dimensions that would cause the need to travel in between them. And these places on Earth, like the Appalachian Mountains, which are really famous for Sasquatch sightings, just sightings of creatures people don't understand or know if they're real. A lot of people think they're not. But one of the things about these areas that is true is a lot of these areas have specific gravity anomalies because of the content and the shape of the mountains. So gravity acts differently in these areas. And if you know anything about the concept of dimensions, is one thing is gravity has a lot to do with it in terms of being able to manipulate a dimension, or at least this specific dimension. So in terms of the anomaly, so like there's this place, I don't know if it's in the Appalachian Mountains, but it's that really famous house that you can go to, and when you stand and like you put a like broom on its head and it will like lean one way and never fall. It's like, have you ever seen that?
I don't think so.
Oh my gosh, man, this is a really famous house. It's a gravity anomaly in the mountains, and it's this house where you walk in and like a ball rolls uphill. You put a broom like on its, dude, look it up right now. Oh my
Interesting.
gosh, I can't believe you've never seen this. This is
I
like
don't think
something
I have.
you can go visit this as a tourist attraction, but it's one of the craziest things ever. There's like a bunch of little anomalies that are just insane, and it's been famous since like the 1800s. I'm pretty sure.
Huh.
Please quote me on that. Are you looking it
Quote you
up?
on it. I was looking up a separate incident, but
That's great.
you can.
Means that you were distracted while I was talking, like always.
I was. What'd you say? Just kidding.
But so that's you can go look that up on your own if you don't if you want to. It's a really cool little place. You can go visit it, and yeah, like the balls will roll uphill, you know, and it specifically can't fully be explained outside of anything besides an anomaly.
Huh.
And maybe it has been explained, but still really cool. And there's more than one of those in the world, and it would make sense to me that if there is any ability to manipulate dimensions, there would be a higher ease of use in areas where gravity is already manipulated.
That's fascinating. That's really
You're
interesting.
literally talking about something different. I know you are.
No,
You're.
I'm literally referencing and responding to what you were saying.
I thought you were looking at a screen, reading something, going, "That's
No.
fascinating."
No, yeah, stop talking. I'm done with that.
But
No,
yeah,
just the one incident that really pops to mind, especially when referencing the interdimensional aspect. In 1924, and I believe this is the incident. You guys go look it up. It's called Ape Canyon. So the Ape Canyon incident. And then I'll give a
that's
summary.
what
I'm
I
not
call
going to
my
go into read
bathroom.
it. Yeah. After Keegan takes a shower. But in 1924, there were a group of prospectors that were near Mount St. Helens. And, you know, of course, they went out for the prospect of gold. And staying in one of these cabins that were out there, one night they start to hear noises. And all of a sudden, rocks being thrown, which is a very typical Sasquatch Bigfoot behavior. The throwing of rocks, tree knocking, the whooping. And all of a sudden it gets to a point to where they're like, whoa, what the heck's going on? So they go outside. All of a sudden they see big rocks being thrown, landing around the cabin. So they're like, holy cow, freaked out, grab their guns. They go out, start shooting in the air to try to scare these things off, or at least go after one and kill it. But as they start chasing it through the forest, the things, of course, outpacing them, all of a sudden they see the tracks just disappear. They're like, where the heck did this thing go? All of a sudden, they see a bright light in the sky. And all of a sudden, it disappears. So that is a super short version of the entire incident, but, you know, more to the aspect of Bigfoot potentially being an interdimensional being. Or is it just a normal bipedal humanoid, you know, that is closely related to an ape that is more downplayed than being interdimensional?
here's why I don't think it is. Because if it is a bipedal, I mean, a bipedal humanoid could still be interdimensional. So it's bipedal,
True.
it's humanoid regardless. But in terms of it not being that, and I know I probably tend to favor the more fantastical things, but I feel like I'm a deep thinker. I think about this stuff a lot. And I've thought through pretty much I'm right. We're right.
Makes sense.
If it is something that was naturally here, like Gigantus Epithecus or whatever, you know,
Gigantopithecus. Yeah.
yeah, Gigantopithecus. I just think that the availability for breeding would be so low, and then the ability to raise a child without incident in terms of like having to protect the child, because it's like a mother bear. Imagine like if bears were almost extinct, they would be even more ferocious because they would be so dead, I mean, as they already are, dead set on protecting their young. I would just imagine that if there was a breeding pool, enough of them, we'd at least be able to see one fully, and then there would have been some type of incident over the years of someone being killed because they encountered like its child or something like that. And I
Well,
just
and all
don't think that
these,
it depends on being here to reproduce.
but all those points that you're bringing up, this podcast addresses. Like they, couple thousand episodes, sometimes multiple guests per episode of encounters that they've seen. Not all Sasquatch. Some are, I don't know if you've heard of Dogman, kind of like a werewolf type creature.
Yes.
One of the, there was one story that honestly freaked me out big time. Like the
Well,
way this dude described it. But all that to say, addressing, hold on, the reproducing of Sasquatch. There was one episode I listened to within the last week and a half or so to where this guy and his kids were hiking, and all of a sudden, you know, this guy encountered a creature, and then he saw another creature and then two smaller ones. And basically the surmising the male version or the assumed male in that little group, was basically squaring up with this dude from across the way. And, from what the guy was interpreting, it was like a literal pack of Sasquatch. There was a male, female, and then two younger ones. And he gives that whole testimony and story like in crazy detail. But I'm like, okay, someone can make up an elaborate story if they spent enough time developing the crazy small details to try to sell it. But yet, it just, when you keep hearing encounter after encounter by all these different people from across the US, and some overseas, I'm just like, what if there is something to it? Because they're literally describing the same exact creature on multiple occasions in different parts of the world.
I just don't think that everyone is lying. And then
And that's what I'm saying. Like,
then the criticism past that point would be that some people could be telling the truth, but telling something that they think they saw that they actually didn't. I
right.
think that there's been so many over history describing something similar that merits it being taken seriously as, okay, there might be something more that we just don't know.
Yeah.
And the one thing that is happening more and more and more and more and more since I've gotten older is history is constantly being rewritten. Things are constantly getting weirder. Things that people didn't think would ever be possible are happening. And it's just like with the things we've talked about with like aliens and stuff in terms of, gravity propulsion, which is almost like verified to be real at this point.
Yep.
It's like all of this stuff that seems very fantastical is starting to fit into logical boxes. So like instead of just scoffing at stuff that's so far beyond understanding, I'm at least willing to give it the chance of being real. Listen, because if dimensions are real, then there's definitely a way to manipulate something that is real. And if you think for 14.5 billion years, there's been nothing in this universe that can manipulate or outside of this universe that could potentially manipulate, if there are dimensions themselves, it just doesn't, I could be wrong, but it just doesn't logically fit into like a natural reality set for me. If something is real, it has the ability to be manipulated.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah. But I was going to say there's this one picture, and this might be, people could throw as many rocks at this as they want to, but there's a picture on it's a trail cam or something like that, and it's in terms of like dog man, it literally looks like a dog person standing upright walking and walks directly across, and I don't remember exactly what, but they did something to like verify that like no one can just like explain what it is. Like the picture is real. The people, they've done everything they can to say like, is this a hoax or not? And all they can come to is this is completely unexplainable. You know
Wow.
what picture I'm talking about?
I started typing it in. I was like, dog man caught on cam trail
Yeah, he's
or
to the
trail
far
cam.
right. He's to the far right of it, and he's just standing.
But that was the first thing that popped up, which is insane. I'm watching. Hold on. I'm going to go back. I'm going to share my screen.
Pull up the picture, yeah.
Yep. I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully.
I think we're good. Let me go. I turned off my.
All right.
Yeah,
Is that
good.
coming through?
Yep.
For everyone that's just listening, open up the video because we're playing the trail cam footage of Dog Man.
Okay, that right there, 100%. Uh-oh.
In California. Interesting. Is
I
this
just
what you were
sneezed
talking
off
about?
camera, and I didn't teleport. No. Go to Dogman picture on trail cam. Something like that. Or just go to images. No, you're good.
Picture on trail cam.
Images. That one. Right there.
Top left? This
to
one?
the right. No, to the right. Yeah, not top, that one.
Let's see.
I'm pretty sure that's the one.
Interesting.
But it's just never been like no one can describe what that actually is.
Oh
And
yeah,
I
I
can't.
remember seeing this. This was at outside an Amarillo Zoo.
Yeah. Amarillo?
Amarillo by morning.
Jeez, man.
Yeah,
That's
that's interesting.
but
Yeah.
I just remember someone talking about that, saying like that for as much as they could tell, it's a genuine photo, and no one can really pick it apart.
Yeah. I mean, there's like we've been talking, all kinds of just crazy unidentified stuff that happens.
Yep.
And, of course, vet it. I'm 100% about that, but also give credence where credence is due, that if you can't explain something, then be okay with that. Don't sit there and just constantly defend that. No, this can't be real. Like if you can't
Well,
explain something, give it credence.
here's the argument against it is that people want so like when I've seen physicists and theologians debate, I watched a theologian one time give a really convincing argument for the logical existence of God and why it would be necessary for the universe to exist. And then he said it to the physicist, and he was like, that means nothing. And he's like, what are you talking about? Like I just described it to you. And he goes, you can't test that, so there's nothing there. Like that's just conceptual. There's nothing I can test. So there's people that will always base it in, not necessarily a test, but if I can't use something that is actually realistic to try to prove it's real, then there's no use in thinking about it, which I think is very, very bad way to approach anything, because just because you can't immediately test it doesn't mean you can't deduce the probability or a probability of it being more real than it's not.
Right. It's like the Higgs boson particle, that
Mm-hmm.
existed, but yet scientists before that, weren't they extremely doubtful? Like, oh, there's no way something like this could exist. And then, oops, it's real.
Yeah. I mean, something like that.
And we've gotten into this point before, but scientists, their sole purpose is to constantly explore, understand, advance, right? If you have questions to something that can't fully be answered now, doesn't mean that a definitive answer can't be had later. Or, something that doesn't currently exist, for you to say, no, there's no way, because you don't have proof now, you can't definitively say it's not real as is,
Yeah.
And it's just like, I don't know, I keep going back to Neil deGrasse Tyson. Just like he's
Yeah.
great for his field, stuff that he does, but it's ironically, some individuals are so close-minded on some things, but yet they're so smart. And I think there's a point of being so smart to where you're so closed off, because you're so focused in that mindset.
Well, again, it goes back to that testable thing. Like they're just like, if I can't test it, then it has no relevance in being real.
Yeah.
And not only that, I can test things away. Like
Yeah.
when he was talking about the sensors, maybe there's one sensor off, and it's like, okay, that's your argument. That's the whole argument. And it's like, no one's talking about that. People are talking about, can we address the fact that it seems to, from what we understand, break the laws of physics from a physical craft? Can we address that? And
Yeah.
yes, the biggest argument against that is like, yes, things from different perspectives can look faster or slower to other people. And it's like, yes, that is a very weak argument as well, because while that can be true, you have no backup if it's not.
Right.
And there's 4 different people that saw the same thing and observed the same thing. And it's just like, the moment you get to a part that can't be addressed by testing is when people like that start getting emotional and start getting like irate about the fact that you're trying to talk about it.
Well, it's like that biblical scholar we talked about recently, completely disproving Billy Carson.
Did we talk
His
about that on the last
entire,
podcast?
I think we might have hit on it just a tad bit, but completely destroying this dude's life work. And then once his version of logic gets out the door and defeated, then you naturally resort to just pure emotion.
Well, just for anyone who doesn't know and maybe didn't listen to the last podcast, Billy Carson is a guy who's been featured on things like Ancient Aliens and a lot of different, theoretical, biblically related, historical, like the what are the topaz tabs of Thoth or something. You know what I'm talking about?
I don't
The
know what they're.
the emerald tablets of Thoth. That's what they are. Yeah, topaz. The emerald tablets, and having alternate histories that we weren't taught. So very, and like being planted by aliens, and Jesus being more of like a guy who went back to he disappeared for 20 years, going to Tibet, learning black arts and things like that, so he could do these miracles when he came back. And this guy's a biblical scholar, but he's also an expert in language. So he's very familiar with and studies very heavily all these different texts that this guy cites a lot. And he went on a podcast and just piece by piece and like surgically focused on every piece, dismantled every one of his arguments that he brought up that pretty much were parts of his foundation for the rest of any argument he made. So he just got destroyed. He's been doing this for like 20 years. 20 years of work for him was essentially destroyed for Billy Carson. And then Billy Carson showed up at 2:30 in the morning to this guy's house, ringing his doorbell, demanding that he doesn't release the footage. So why did we even bring that up? Forget.
I don't. Oh, people being defensive in trying to prove something that's not, or to disprove something that is, just because they don't have the ability to test it.
Yeah.
Or making stuff up.
Yeah. But it was uncomfortable to watch. I will say, I don't enjoy watching people get get choke slammed logically. Like, because you could see how that you could literally watch him for the first time ever just breaking down on camera, going like, I have no control of this. Because he would lose an argument and then try to jump to another one without addressing the past argument. And it was
Not
rough.
Good. Yeah.
Felt bad for
before
him.
we get off this topic of, I know we kind of did already with Sasquatch, but on Sasquatch Chronicles, please go listen to episode 1084. I thought I was dead. An insane encounter. I'm not going to say anything about it, but just go listen to it. It's only maybe an hour long. Highly, highly recommend it. So yeah, just wanted to mention that before we move off to something else, because I just listened to that episode and I was blown away.
Yeah, it'd be hard to imagine that people are just purely lying with stuff like that. I mean, not stuff like that, 100% not with stuff like that, but just in terms of like when they have that much emotion and detail. And guess what? There's actors in this world. There's people that can do it, but it's just, I don't necessarily get all of the advantage of doing it. And there's some people that are very adamant about like, hey, dude, I just was a person that saw something. I'm not saying it's what I said it is. I just am telling you my perspective. There's very honest people out there. So
for sure.
I think we
it's
get a
like,
lot of those.
Truly, what do they have to gain? They're on someone else's podcast telling their story. They're not getting residuals. They're not getting paid. I mean, what more would you remotely get out of that than just telling at face level a crazy story? I mean, that's it. So 1084, I thought I was dead. Go listen to it, please.
Yeah.
You too.
I have not listened
to go
that.
listen to
I'm
it.
going to listen to it as well. I love how we're plugging other people's podcasts on our podcast. Yeah.
That's the way.
Don't listen to this one. Skip this episode. Go watch that.
Yeah, go watch their podcast. But that's the way that maybe one of these episodes will circulate across one of those hosts, or their, the host of whatever podcast we plug, and they listen to an episode of ours and they like it, and then they start plugging us. Who knows?
That would be cool.
That'd be pretty dope. Shout out Sasquatch Chronicles. You are awesome.
We need to have an episode where we break something down very specifically, like one topic.
Yeah.
Call it like a special.
Special of
Yes.
speciality.
And then we can
Killing
have
Sith Lords are our speciality.
How to Kill a Sith Lord. We actually could do that. I mean, we could really study up and figure out, like,
Darth
hey,
Jar Jar.
man, that is a true story. Jar Jar Binks was supposed to be one of the most powerful Siths in the universe. And he helped and manipulated. He was apparently Palpatine's master. And
Palpatine's master was Darth Plagueis.
Well, he had something to do with guiding Palpatine. And Palpatine knew it. Or Palpatine didn't know it. Because he, like, essentially was there for a lot of the decisions that were made when Palpatine was making them. And then there's one very specific scene that I look at and I'm like, okay, I get that. It's when I forget. Yeah, good. So I'm going to cite it and also forget kind of, exactly what's happening. But they're leaving a ship, and that something ends up having that ship, and R2-D2 comes up and shocks Jar Jar Binks in the butt while he's messing with something, and that ends up being like what messes up on the ship.
It's well, that was the pod racer in episode 1. He was playing around with the pod racer trying to fix it, and I think R2-D2
I
comes
think there's
up and
something
shocks
more
him.
than that.
Or no. It was after they left Tatooine on the one starship. Once they got past the blockade, yeah, Jar Jar was messing with something, and he was by himself in whatever room on the ship, and R2 comes up and.
Yeah, and then also,
but that was after they got it fixed.
Also, the 30-foot force jump into the water.
I could argue though he's a Gungan.
Did any other Gungan ever do that? Did any other Gungan
not
ever
like
do that?
They needed to. Not in the movie that was televised.
You would think that in a war or like when they were fighting or anything, like you would think that it would just be, yeah, I get what you're saying, but that was a big one. And then
it'd be interesting.
There's scenes where Palpatine is giving speeches and Jar Jar is moving his hands in weird ways next to him, as if he's manipulating him with the Force.
It'd be, yeah. Because with
not
his
like in terms of just pure telling him what to say, but like just the same way that
influencing.
Yep. Qui-Gon Jinn or Obi-Wan Kenobi was like, these are not the droids you're looking for.
Right. Mind tricking. But supposedly, I don't know, if Palpatine was one of the most powerful Sith Lords ever, to be able to be controlled by Jar Jar, who plays such a
Jar Jar
minuscule
would be
role.
the most powerful Sith ever. And here's the thing:
others,
Palpatine, apparent from what I read, Jar Jar would be the number one. That was like the whole twist. But Palpatine, the one thing I really don't like about Palpatine is put high on that list because he was able to capture the Senate and then control the galaxy through legality. Like he was like legitimately like a political genius outside of being a Sith, and he was a very powerful Sith, but he got beat by Darth Vader, and Darth Vader wasn't even at full Darth Vader. Darth Vader, without
full
being
Anakin.
Injured, full Anakin, without being injured by Obi-Wan in their fight, and having had his life support suit that gives him the Darth Vader voice, was more powerful than he was the chosen one. He could manipulate like both sides of the Force.
Not?
Well, Rey's the second chosen one because they forgot that they had two choices.
True.
It's like a Happy Meal. You get two sides.
You get two sides.
Yeah. Jeez, man.
Yeah.
Star Wars really has gone down the crapshoot.
Oh, it really has.
Yeah.
I'm just like, I'm not excited for the last couple Star Wars shows that have come out on Disney Plus. Haven't even watched because I canceled my Disney Plus membership over a year ago.
I watched the fight between Darth Vader and Obi-Wan on Thursday.
That was sick. That was
It was
cool.
a good fight, but
Yep.
Yeah, it was a good fight.
Yep. Better than what's come out in the last
Yeah, that was
year and a half.
that was the best thing that's come out for Star Wars in the past, few years.
Yep. 100%. But well, cool. Anything else pressing that you want to bring up?
No, all the stuff that's really pressing, I'm going to save it for next time.
Nice. So you guys
It's
have
Saturday,
to come back
though.
for next episode. Video games.
I'm excited to play a couple games. I got to clean up my place first. You guys just can't see it. It's very neat. I just am a super neat freak, so I'm going to make it even neater. And then, I don't know if I'm going to work out today. I already ran, but what do you think?
No, enjoy Saturday. Enjoy it.
Could be part of enjoying it. But either way, I'll figure it out. Love you guys. Have an awesome Saturday. What?
I was going to say real quick, enjoy this
really
the nice Saturday. I know I did because it was really, really, really important. Enjoy the nice day outside, all the weather that's so beautiful outside by staying inside to play video games with me.
Do it. Do it.
Yeah.
Download For Honor. But good night, good morning, whatever time you're listening to this at. I hope it's Saturday. If it's not, if it's like a Monday or something, that sucks. But you're going to make it through. Love you. I will see you. We will see you. Everyone will see us next week.
It's true. Have an awesome weekend, guys. See you on next week's episode.
Peace.